time, weather.
Now for the Forge Podcast. Question for you. What's the power of your testimony if it's never shared? This is the Forge Podcast.
A ministry of Scottsdale Bible Church.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Joe?
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good today. It's Monday, so not totally sure yet, but getting the ball rolling, right?
I know. Almost missing it today. I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, that's why I scheduled it on Tuesday. It's like the same time every day, so that like I'm used to that.
The routine, right?
The routine, yeah. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So
well, thanks for disrupting it for me in the different kind of routine I have. So I
100%.
appreciate it. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I used to work at Universal Studios and coordinating all the movies and shows that shot on the back lot.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, call times would be 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I lived close.
Yeah.
But if somebody's name, and like there was a day where we got 100 extras coming, if I missed one of the names or if one of their names was misspelled and they couldn't get on the lot, I'm like, at 5, like it would be like your text today, like, hey, bro, on my way. I'm like, no. I'd have to jump out of bed, rush to the studio. I'm like,
oh my gosh. The stress that you just have getting in there and then the flurry of trying to get everything going. That's
there a couple of times,
rough.
James, I forgot to put in like all the passes.
Oh, really?
And like 100 extras, all their names. I'm like, oh no, race over. I'm just furiously trying to type.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid.
Universal Studios. Did you like working there?
I loved it.
Yeah. We used to love going there. I went a ton in the 90s. Were you in the era when the King Kong was still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
So it was, I ran all, the backlot tram.
Yeah.
Those are actually filming locations. So you could rent out New York Street. I ran that. So I was one of 8 people that, if you're Bruce Almighty and you want to film on the backlot, you're the production company, you'd call me and I would help take care of all of that. Extras, insurance, parking, Best Boys, electric, grip, all the departments went through me and I would help facilitate that.
That's really
for
cool.
you while you filmed on the backlot for 3 months.
Yeah, that like the Back to the Future backlot, the bell tower and all that I see that all the time in movies. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, there it is again. What's it called? Isn't it?
Clock Tower.
Clock Tower?
Yeah.
Is that the lot?
Yep.
Okay.
So
wow.
off the record,
cool.
back then I would go up and drink beers because that was my favorite movie.
Oh,
Back to the Future.
Back
It's
to the
why I
Future.
got into Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
And so to be able to go up there on my own, because I also had run
so
of
cool.
security too.
Oh yeah.
So like, oh yeah, no
You were
guys, it's
managing
just me.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing was yours. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Wow.
And then even behind all those fake house facades, they would have restrooms hidden.
Oh,
'cause it's all fake behind.
Yeah,
it.
there's nothing really
But you
structurally
would have.
in there. Yeah.
I knew where all, like, if you had to go and relieve yourself, I knew where the secret bathrooms were.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Those little things. It awakens the fanboy kid in me because
there's a Christmas movie that came out with Eddie Murphy recently, and my girls love it. But it's filmed on one of those streets, and girls, behind that garage there's a bathroom. Dad would always go to the bathroom there.
There might be someone in there right now while they're filming.
100%, man. Like, it's fun to point that stuff out. Like, they're like, wait, Dad, that's fake? I'm like, yeah, the whole neighborhood's fake.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have they been there? Were they too young for it, or
No,
they haven't been to Universal Studios yet?
Yeah. No.
Because when you go as a tourist, like, does anybody know you there anymore? Or
Yeah, I could if we went as a family, I could get probably front of the line passes. I could get a private tour back on the back lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
One of the girls that I introduced and got her the job in marketing, she's still there. So I've known her for over 30 years.
Oh wow,
so
that's really cool.
Yeah, I could probably hook that up. I just haven't thought of that.
Yeah,
because I've been there so much.
Yeah,
it's not exactly my first thought. Like, hey kids, let's go.
Yeah, you're like, let's go places
here.
that I haven't been and worked at
exactly
hours and hours of my life. So that's really cool. Huh? That brings me back. We went to Universal Studios recently, and they have so much new building going on. But that's one thing that I always miss. I always tell my son, there used to be a real mechanical King Kong wrecking stuff, fire blowing up and everything.
Love
and so that was great.
That was a great ride.
Yeah, it was well done. So I don't know where King Kong's head's sitting around somewhere in a big warehouse.
Probably it's I think it's probably in the props and wardrobe department.
Yeah,
that's another cool building that's on the back lot. That it's props and wardrobe, and you can go in there and see all the wardrobe from other movies.
Really?
You can see props and from you name it.
Awesome.
It was just such a magical place to work.
Yeah,
because there's always movies or TV shows or commercials going on, and things. People are just being creative all day, every single day.
That's really cool.
Loved it. Yeah.
One day. have to do the backlot tour again. So that's really cool.
All right, shall we get started?
Let's get going.
All right, welcome to the Forge Podcast.
Yeah.
Glad to have you on.
Good to be here.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
So introduce yourself. Tell me what you do at SBC and over at Cactus.
Well, my name is James Delarado, and I am a pastor at Scottsdale Bible Cactus Campus, and I just recently transferred 3 months ago from the Northridge campus. I was out there for 5 years, so October 2020. Just celebrated my 5-year anniversary. Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Got my certificate. It's good.
Is that what they give you?
They give you a certificate, a little bit of a recognition, prayer certificate. It's good. So little journal there. So I still have to get going on that. But so thankful for my role. I've been doing the men's and marriage pretty much the whole time. I started as a connections pastor up at Northridge, and then recently moved after 5 years, 4 years really in the men's and marriage role up there, and now down to Cactus, Rick and the crew. So it's been fun. So What
are your daily walk me through a day in the life over at Cactus for you?
Yeah, it's still evolving in a lot of ways of just trying to, find the rhythm there. I came in there basically August was the first full month I was there. So day in the life, I'm pretty mobile. Like I like to be on the move. We don't have a ton of office space there, so some of the meetings necessitate going different places. So I'm day in the life. I mean, I'll start at home a lot, hang out with my son and my wife, and then drive my son to school or not, and my wife will, and then it's just getting going. I'm not so much of a morning person. Like it takes me a little while to get going. I'm more of a night person, and so I kind of delay my mornings a little bit, but then I get going. Meetings, meet at Press Coffee or other coffee shop, go to a lunch with a guy, stop in the Cactus for a bit and talk with Rick and whoever else is there, strategize, figure out how we're going to take over the world for Jesus and all that good stuff. So,
and are we there yet?
We're getting very close.
Okay, good.
We're getting very close. So if when
you
it
heard
does
that
happen,
first here, folks.
when it does happen, it's coming out of Cactus Campus, just so everybody knows that. So Rick's got a master plan. So It's really good. But no, it's so it looks different every day. Tuesdays are really specific for Forge, as all of us leaders and pastors for the Forge see. We just kind of run through a lot of things Tuesday, and then Wednesday is kind of regroup, Thursday regroup, and then get to the weekend. So that day in the life is kind of like that, just meeting with people, studying, reading, sending messages about different leadership stuff and trying to get everyone on the same page of what we're doing, when we're doing it, why we're doing it, all the above. So
do you have a favorite thing?
That's a good question. A favorite thing?
'Cause I know you really gravitate towards just getting with men and walking life with them. You're really good at that, and it seems to come just real natural to you. But
that's interesting because and the same thing with marriages and married couples as well. It's funny because I'm probably, and this may be a big reveal for people, I'm probably more of an introvert than an extrovert. I think I'm somewhere on the straddle the line in the middle of both, but I think I do very much enjoy meeting with couples, meeting with men, getting to know their stories. Like I'll say that's one of my favorite things is I like to share obviously my story here, but also getting to know other people's stories is just one of the most exciting things. Like when we met up, not too long ago, it was just so cool. Like, I know Joe from far away, but what's his story? And it's the same thing with all the guys. And that's how I start there. It's like, here's my story. Let's get coffee. Let's get lunch. Let's hear your story. And then why don't you guys share each other's story? So that's one of my favorite things is getting context for people, their hopes, their dreams, their struggles, the excitement that they're seeing in their life at the moment and in that journey. And I would say, so that's a big part of it, mobilizing leaders in the midst of that, seeing where we can get everyone fit into a place where they feel like they have a sense of belonging, purpose in what they're doing. And the introvert side is I'm a studier, I'm a thinker. I like to read a lot, audiobooks, all kinds of stuff. And so I'll be immersed in always some thoughts, processing, learning something new, from scripture to, Christ and culture to theology, a bunch of different stuff. So that really excites me, is to be in that internal world of learning and thinking through new concepts or bridging the gap between concepts I already know. So
I thought I silenced it.
Rookie move.
What are you reading now? What are you in the middle
What
of?
am I reading now? I'm doing some leadership program with some men, so I'm reading a lot of some some theology books, just some stuff about the attributes of God and things like that. And so I always love reading that because it just reinvigorates worship for me. And I know sometimes reading can be a chore, and a lot of times it is. But I've noticed that for me, it helps me explore in my mind the worship of the Lord. So I'm not just into reading just for information. It's reading, especially about Bible and theology, just gets me excited for and reinvigorates how great God is. So I'm reading that. What else am I reading? So my nerd stuff, there's this series called Very Short Introductions. I don't know if you heard of it, but they have a bunch of them, short little, they're ebook or they're books. They're kind of encyclopedia kind of entries, usually 4 or 5 chapters. So I nerd out on a lot of those. So right now there's one on the life and teachings of Socrates that I'm getting into, and a lot of it's beyond me in some ways, and I kind of sometimes 2 times fast through it. So I'm getting a lot of the concepts of it. But I love learning a lot about the lives of big thinkers, philosophers, and people, because so much of that has so much more to it about the reality of, as much as they have a reputation and this aura about them, that Socrates was the founder of, Greco-Roman Western philosophy.
Right.
He was just a person. And so that's fascinating to me, is learn their personal life and the history and the records there. So a lot of the books will go through that, and then they'll go through other concepts of
That's
things.
such a good reminder on every level, is to remind ourselves that everybody we're thinking about is still just a person.
Just a person. They had a
from
beginning and an
government
end.
to entertainment to sports. They still go home, and they're still a person.
Yeah.
They still have the same kinds of thoughts and struggles and that you and I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy to get distracted and think that they're something else because of their power or their authority or whatever it is. Yeah. But man, they're just a person like
they
your
don't
boy Socrates.
Yeah, Socrates, man. He's as much as I respect that, and amazing in the pocket of life, but he died. He speaks no more, right? And so all we have is records of his life from other people, and then those people have records. So it just continues on from that. It's amazing to me how powerful one life can be, but also how finite, right, it becomes too. It humbles me for sure, like you're saying to that point. It keeps me in a sense of, okay, Jesus has a specific way that is far different, far above, God himself, the only man who will ever and only ever has changed the world in the most profound way. Right. So we get to more of that later.
I was listening, or I was reading on David and months ago, maybe a year ago. And, David, man after God's own heart. And I'm like, I want to be a man after God's own heart. Something inside me said, he's done. He has lived. As you just said, he breathes no more. He's like, and I'll quote the Goonies, this is my time. This is my time now. David didn't have the words of Jesus and of Paul and of Peter and James. Joe, you do. You have my word. You have my complete word. He's like, yes, David was a man after my own heart. Why? Because he sought me. But it's your time. What are you going to do with your time? And that so pierced me. I'm like, it is my time. The Goonies. It's their time up there. Here, it's our time.
Here, it's our time.
Take advantage of that and do it for the Lord. So I love how you said it. He speaks no more.
Well, and that's so right. I love that. This is our time. Or what do I do with my time? It reminds me. It reminds me of a professor I had in seminary. He said, "Don't try to aim to change the world or be faithful to what God has you for." This big, grandiose call or whatever. Just be faithful to your generation. And he was actually a guest professor. He was a professor that had been there a long time, but wasn't teaching as much anymore. He came to guest speak in one of the classes, and that just profoundly struck me. He was older, I think in his 80s at the time. And he said, just be faithful to your time, to your generation. And so for such a time as this, God has put us here, right? Esther, this is where we are. This is who we are. And a lot of my life, I've wrestled with a lot of those concepts of who I am, where should I be? And so it's a good reminder, that God has locked me into this moment, and how do I just be faithful to it and rest in him in that, and not struggle and strive. And in some ways, that's kind of our American idealism that comes out. And then there is a part of that. We can struggle and strive and overcome and really, reach a level of status or pursuit of something greater beyond ourselves, but at the end of the day we leave it behind. And so the wrestle of that is just like, I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast is like, how do I get out of it? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know when it calms me down is when I realize the finitude and the smallness that I really have in the big scheme of things. So,
right.
But still responsible for what I have in my time. Right. So like you said, it's good.
Well, let's jump into your testimony.
Yeah.
Excited to hear that and excited to share that with the guys at Forge.
Yeah.
So I'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, I know you
Sometimes
will.
I can't help it.
I love your inquisitive nature when I watch and listen to the podcast. So my story, I was originally born in the Bronx, New York, so East Coast boy, and I grew up, I don't know if anyone knows the Pelham Bay line, but the end of Pelham 123, that whole subway line that ends is basically in the neighborhood where I grew up. So
did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the train line. But other than that, I was
nothing
like
that happened in your life.
Nothing that I remember. I was a young lad when I was there, so I had to look back up in the history records, but probably not. Denzel,
Not based on a true story.
Not based on a true story. The train is, the place is, but so I'm from that place. I was born in the early '80s, 1980, and so I grew up in New York for about the first 9 years of my life, and so. This is really formative for my story because grew up in a household that really wasn't Christian, I guess, if you would say, fully churched, Christianized, reading the Bible, understanding, going to church a lot, as you probably would guess from being from New York, pockets of that, but not everywhere as prominent as places like Arizona. So growing up there, younger brother, older half sister, my parents were married in 1975. My parents, interesting in that story, my dad, Italian, Hungarian, Catholic, grew up in the Bronx neighborhood, and then my mom, Jewish. So they got married in 1975, and they were essentially born again Christians. I explain it because it's more popular now, but the Jesus movement, like the Jesus, what was the name of the movie? Jesus Revolution. That's kind of the era where they came to know Christ in that time when the wave was kind of hitting different parts of the country. My mom would tell stories about they would do Bible studies and spark up like a joint afterward, and just like this was part of that. So they were more on the maybe drug using side of it. Definitely. My father was a Vietnam vet, and so that carried over. So he was in the Air Force, came back, and I think a lot of the drugs and the hippie culture and alcohol was all part of his life. My mom, not so much. But they got married, and my mom was. They would say that they had this coming to Jesus deepening in their early at their time they were in their 30s, so it was in the 70s. My mom, converted. I think probably in the 60s, maybe when she was younger, to Christianity, and then it kind of more solidified
from Judaism to
it was more of like a nominal Judaism, is ethnically Jewish.
Okay.
They were more practicing in their home than we were in ours.
Was there any blowback from her family about that?
There was definitely. I don't remember a lot of the stories, but there was definitely a sense of, well, that's I don't totally understand it, but if that's what makes you happy, kind of thing. It wasn't as strict religious Jewish as some may think. I had notions of that. So like when my mom grew up, I think they practiced a lot more the different holidays, and then there was more of the ethnic cultural food, and the community. My mom would say that her parents wanted her to date a Jewish man, and there was like some dating service that she told me one time that they were trying to set her up with, and she was like, nope. And dating services have been around for a long time, I guess. It was back in the 50s or 60s, I guess.
Call
60s.
this guy.
Call this guy. Yeah, you're like, okay, random person.
Hi, Carl.
No
I'm
pictures.
looking for a date.
Yeah. It's all on the Jewish network somewhere, so we know it's kosher. So probably misusing that word. But yeah, so she had that upbringing, but I think she wasn't drawn to it. And then she remembers going to some youth groups, maybe some early young life types of things. She remembers in the high school years professing Jesus, and I think that was a little strange to her parents, to my grandparents, and then I don't know really much. The gap there just kind of goes to my my dad when she met him, and then really from the time with him, more solidified their faith. Born again. That's what she would use that phrase,
Yeah.
which is, very common, especially back then. But born again, trusted in Christ for hope, for salvation of their sins. And yeah, that was their main worldview. So I come along 5 years later, but they weren't churchgoers. I think they had a stint where they were going to some church, but there was some moral failure of the pastor, and they just kind of, veer away from it. So that was in the 80s of when I grew up. My brother was born a couple years later, and then we grew up there till basically 1989, where we moved to Arizona. And so the whole time in New York, from what I remember, because I was, old enough to remember some things the last few years, there were some good times. My parents were together, so that's foreshadowing what ends up happening later. They had, I remember fun times. My parents would have people over a lot. We'd have a lot of parties. I think there was a lot of drinking and such there, but there was nothing really abusive or problematic in that sense. I remember going fishing a lot, playing Little League. So there were some good memories there. We moved to Arizona in 1989. We knew another family, and we moved out here. And it was, back when it was, North Scottsdale, Pima in the 101 area, and nothing up there. So I remember coming from a historic urban world into a vast desert of, wow, okay. And so I'm fairly adaptable person, but I do think I look back on that and I think it affected me probably more than I realized, because we left our whole family. We didn't literally anyone, and our family wasn't necessarily really connected anyway, but it was just a sense of displacement. Anyway, that's the next 3 years. I turned 9 in about 1990, and then the next couple years, my dad's drinking got worse, and my mom and their marriage was struggling. And so I remember specifically, I remember some fights in New York too, but basically I remember one instance where there was some issues with drinking. My dad would get drunk and sleep over our friend's house and not come home till later. And he was, again, not an abusive drunk, but was enjoying the life of the party kind of thing, but just irresponsible, I would say, in a lot of ways, and just kind of not taking ownership of a lot of things.
Sorry,
my
you
mom
said
was the
something, I have to
breadwinner.
write it down.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. My mom was the essential breadwinner and kind of stabilizer of the family. So we moved out. My grandma was there too, so we lost her around I was 10, 11. And then I think after that, the drinking got worse, and then their fighting got worse. And I remember one time my mom was out of town with this great job she had. They would go to Mexico a lot for trips, just for fun. And my dad was home, my brother and I. My brother was at a friend's house, and my dad was drinking. And I remember specifically, hey, let's go to a restaurant. So we went to this Italian restaurant somewhere off Bell Road and something. So we drove, and I remember him swerving a lot. And so that felt very unsafe. Again, I was about 11, 12 years old, and we went to eat. He was acting weird, at the restaurant, and just wasn't himself, made me uncomfortable. And I also kind of knew, because I was, the older brother, pretty perceptive of what was going on with their marriage. And so I told my mom when she got home. I ended up looking for the liquor in the garage, found it, and told my mom that, hey, Dad was drinking. I can't remember the whole thing, 11, 12 years old. And I showed her where the bottle was. And then after that, she said, okay, I want to go talk to him. Why don't you and your brother go to a friend's house? So we went around the corner to our friend's house. We hung out there. I remember being in the driveway, just playing, but having a lot of sense of fear and worry about what's going on. And I don't know what time elapsed, but somewhere 30 minutes, an hour comes by. My dad drives by in his old white Chevy Blazer, and drives up to the curb, calls my brother and I over. And then he looks me right in the eye, and I just remember him looking right at me and saying, "Thanks for ratting me out, Jim." And so they call me Jimmy. And that devastated me, because I thought I was doing the right thing. Right. I felt unsafe. And so the fact that in that moment he accused me of not siding with him, obviously devastated and drove a huge wedge into my heart of, I just disappointed my dad. I don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of those details afterward are somewhat fuzzy, but I do remember around that time in the next year, things started falling apart. My dad moved out, lived more in Phoenix. My mom, and they were going through the divorce papers and all that. They kept it mostly from us, but my mom knew that I felt super guilty about it. And so I went into counseling, and my brother and I as well. And this is the formative years, right? Going through puberty. I had some abuse before, right around this time. So that was kind of factoring into some unsafe, sexual abuse that happened at that time. And then there was a sense of loss, right? Right around the time where I'm supposed to be becoming a man. becoming a teenager. And so we basically moved out, sold the house. My dad moved to Phoenix. My mom and we moved to Scottsdale Pinnacle Peak area, and my brother. And that was where everything we just settled in there.
Thank you for listening to the Forge Podcast.